Hello, my name is Jake Kraus. I'm going to compare and contrast Google today, starting out with a snapshot of the two companies. IBM is the old one on the block, having been founded in 1911. It started with business machines and has since evolved into a services and software company with a 2018 revenue of about $80 billion and about 400,000 employees. Their largest segment is technology services and cloud platforms. Google, on the other hand, was founded in 1998, started with the search engine we all know, had a global revenue of $136 billion and just shy of 100,000 employees, and obviously their biggest segment was advertising. Value discipline wise, we'll start with IBM. I've listed their mission statement here, but really they focus on customer intimacy. All of their services are turned towards making sure the customer is successful and the best relationship with them. It's really set out in that first sub bullet there, their dedication to every client's success. Google, on the other hand, really is product leadership. They look to be the best at what they do. They are certainly by far the best search engine out there, and in their advertising business tied to it, do a great job and are known as the way you get to customers that you want to get. Um, they have a much more happy organizational mission listed here, um, and that is a tool to reach their ultimate goal of being able to serve their customers the best. Market segmentation, really the core difference in their marketing is IBM markets to businesses and Google markets to individuals, whether they are individuals or individual businesses. Um, you don't see too many customers lining up as an individual to be, hey, Jake Kraus looking to go buy an IBM product anymore, versus Jake Kraus using Google or buying a Android smartphone. Um, they both use a variety of different tools, demographics, psychographics, and geographic in their marketing, depending on what the products are and how they reach them. How they do that, it's more in, once again, business profiling versus individual profiling. And how they create their products is different. Google creates broad products that everyone can use as they see fit for their needs. IBM works with customers directly to take their products and help them meet their needs. So there's a little bit more interaction on the IBM style, and both offer product portfolios to reach their wide market segments. Relationships and loyalty. With Google, it's really a question of dominance and being tied into their network. Once you start using Google, you start finding Google in more places, whether it's Gmail, launching into it, you want to use Google Maps, eventually you have a login. Eventually you're so enmeshed in Google that you really are loyal simply because that's where everything is. Um, Relationship wise, it's kind of a one-sided relationship. People love Google. Google likes to help people, but they don't necessarily focus on the individual customers. IBM is very different in that they do focus on their customers. A good way to see this is the size of their staffs. 400,000 IBMers versus about 100,000 Googlers. That size differential is really due to how many people are devoted to reaching out and working with customers directly in IBM's business. They're human-based and they're results-driven. So their customers are loyal because they see the results and they have those personal relationships. AI and big data. IBM was the first to market with Deep Blue that came out back in the 90s and won the chess championship. Um, they target specific markets and then look to develop tools for those markets. And then they take those tools out to different businesses in the markets and help them integrate the IBM tools into that business's own applications. They provide their platforms as a service, not necessarily as an open platform, but it's a place it's part of the services they provide. Google, on the other hand, everything's about advertising. They use their different targeting tools to make sure ads get to the right people who are most likely to make the purchases that their advertisers are looking for. Um, all their tools are open source, but really focused on growing Google's business. Um, and then they offer all their platforms pretty much free to use or low cost to use, with the idea that it's kind of a come as you are and you use what's there. How you use it and to what degree you use it is up to you. And if you want to engage with Google to get more support, you certainly can, but they're not out there reaching out to customers to do that themselves. Digital transformation. IBM created the digital world, almost literally. From the technology they developed with computers from World War II on, they really built the hardware that drove the initial revolution in technology. Um, In the 90s, they started to run into speed bumps. Other companies were able to do hardware cheaper and have a faster product life cycle than IBM was. IBM became very large and cumbersome. In 1993, Louis Gestriner was selected as the CEO and really refocused the company on customers and segments. By 2000, half their business was software and services, and that had almost doubled to 80% in 2010 and has grown since. Digital transformation is weirdly not something you can necessarily apply to Google. It is the product of digital transformation. It is part of Web 2.0, those businesses that started right about the time the first web bubble burst in the late 90s, early 2000s, starting in web search when we all learned about it. The culture is built around being scrappy and data-driven to remain agile and find new ways to solve new challenges. They have a very engineer way of doing things. They test and learn as they develop products. Try it out, read it, and iterate until they get it right. They are used as the epitome of a digital business in many different business sources. How do we do things? Let's see how Google does it. Digitally mature. I think that kind of goes without saying that the company that invented digital and the company that was born digital are very mature as the ratings of MIT goes. They both have a very digital culture. They both play the long game. IBM has a long history of patents, some of the most in the United States in different technologies. Google continues to grow in how it uses its tools and has research divisions spun out now since it became a parent company and a sub-company, doing everything from contact lenses to quantum computers to smart cars, take your pick. They're involved in long-term development of that. Both use small-scale projects to develop enterprise-wide programs, whether it be Deep Blue that became the Watson AI at IBM, or Google that took AdWords from a project that an individual used in their separate time to a core part of the business. Both are talent magnets in their own ways. Google, everyone wants to work at Google. They get over 1 million applicants each year and have to go through them. IBM does much more on their ground game, their relationship with universities and businesses and internally to develop and find the best talent they can. And both have had visionary leaders, from the founders of Google onward, and IBM, really from Gestriner on, to be digital businesses and to continue to grow in that space. Deloitte offers another set of tools to look at an organization digitally mature, and you can see some different options here. And they really meet all of these tools without going into great detail on them. How did they use analytics in HR? Both of them, interestingly, use it obviously internally, but they also both offer platforms for other businesses to use to integrate AI and analytics into their HR processes. IBM, some examples of how they use it are tailoring the application process to the candidate. So as you're on the website, they tailor each page to what they see. They also use it to reduce implicit bias when applications are received, so that in that 6 seconds that a recruiter is looking at an application, they're biased for a college degree or any other number of things can be taken into account and accounted for in the overall selection process. They also use it to predict attrition and prevent it. Google used it to streamline their interview process. At one point, they had as many as 23 interviews for someone to get a job. They realized that after 4 interviews, they weren't getting any better success, so they were able to streamline that. Since then, they've used it to do different things like optimize team size and composition, and it's a core part of their manager evaluation. So one thing to think of is, are they allies or enemies? Honestly, they're really not either. They're both tech titans, but their businesses at this point don't compete directly. They are split really by their core paradigm of their business focus. Google provides individual tools for individuals to use as they see fit. IBM works directly with business customers to integrate their services into the customer's business. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my presentation. This last slide here shows some of the other sources used in developing this presentation. Thank you and have a good night.